Duel.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. Cowboys win. Thank you, Jimma. Astros stay alive. And the Spurs beat the Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee, among other things, over the weekend. We shouldn't talk about the Longhorns, but we'll have to. That would have been the perfect weekend if the Longhorns would have won as well. Oh, and by the way, the UTSA Roadrunners signed Jeff Traylor to a long-term contract. Thank you, Coach. He'll be joining us at 8:35. It is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. Shannon, I am tired because I stayed up late for the Astros in the World Series, but I don't care because the Astros are still alive. How are you doing?
I'm doing much better waking up and seeing the scores because I did not go to bed a happy camper, Chris. I did not go to bed a happy camper. Obviously, Saturday was not great either, so I was taking a lot of it very personally. And October is a great sports month. It was not the ideal way to go out, but luckily Astros and Cowboys pulled it out. So I guess 2 out of 3 ain't too bad.
Meatloaf.
Yeah.
You quote Mr. Loaf.
I
Two out of three
would
ain't
very
bad.
much like to be 3 out of 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, last night as it was sinking in that Cooper Rush was going to play quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, and as Minnesota just went right down the field and scored, and the Astros had lost 2 in a row in Atlanta. I mean, I just thought, okay, Longhorns lost. Cowboys are definitely going to lose because it's Cooper Rush at quarterback. Astros just can't find their bats. Astros are going to get swept in Atlanta. Series is going to be over. The haters are going to rejoice. And then all of a sudden last night, Cooper Rush turns into Joe Montana, and the Houston Astros find their bats and score a whole lot of runs. And we move into the month of November with hope in the world. So, and we'll talk Longhorns. Absolutely. Gosh, that was awful. And how do you do that and let's talk about it for a second. How do you do that 3 games in a row? How do you have double-digit leads on a ranked team 3 times in a row? Yeah, you're going to win 2 of those. You're going to win 2 out of 3 of those, right? Apparently not.
Texas, just the last decade, has been setting all of the wrong records, breaking all the wrong records, and this is just another one. They have been outscored. I think it's something like in the 50s to maybe 10 now, because I think they got a field goal in the fourth quarter of this last one. I mean, it's ridiculous, this fourth quarter meltdown. Something is ingrained in all of these players' minds of just, it's either we only have 3 quarters of this game, or whatever the fourth quarter, we're all just going to shut down. And I know during the bye week, Sark was like, we watched Free Solo to help them out, to make them understand you've got to finish. And that was like the odd movie choice. And I don't think that's going to be enough. And clearly it wasn't, because yet another meltdown for Texas against Baylor, against a team that, we talked to Taylor last week, and it was all about the front half of the schedule for Texas. They can make it through the front half. The back half should be easy. The back half was supposed to start with Baylor. It did not go as planned. I don't want to say the season is completely over with, but now at this moment, you're pretty much just playing to be bowl eligible. And you got to play Ames, or you got to play Iowa in Ames this Saturday. They finally get a night game, and of all the night games, it's going to be in Ames, which is a wild place to play.
And they had a tough loss over the weekend as well, so they're going to be angry. Let's see. Yeah, Wisconsin beat Iowa, and Iowa was ranked number 9 going in, 27-7. So Iowa's going to be, itching to beat somebody. Let's see. So I'm pulling. So Texas is 4-4 with 4 games left.
Yep.
At Iowa State. Okay, not at Iowa. Okay, I heard Iowa at Iowa State. Iowa. My bad. At Iowa State, home against Kansas. You better win that one. Although Kansas,
nearly beat OU.
They were interesting against. Then you're at West Virginia. That's never easy. And then home against Kansas State. So you're home to both Kansases, Kansas and Kansas State, on the road at Iowa State, on the road at West Virginia. You're 4-4. My God. If you go 2-2, you're going to finish 6-6. That would make you bowl eligible barely. So you got to win 3 out of 4 to go 7-5 and be respectable, I would say.
Respectable maybe from an outsider's perspective, but I think at this point Horns fans are ready to see. No, I'm not one of them. I want to make that clear. But heads want to be rolling for some Horns fans, and given the climate and the way the college football world works, I can't say I'd be surprised if we saw some changing in the assistants and potentially a coordinator shakeup following this season.
Yeah,
someone's got to take the hit, and it's not going to be Sark in year one.
Right, absolutely not. But as we saw with the Cowboys a year ago, you had Mike Nolan at defensive coordinator, and it just wasn't working. You bring in Dan Quinn, you flip the script, and now all of a sudden, and jump into the Cowboys for a second. Arizona loses on Thursday night. Thank you. They're no longer undefeated. They've got 1 loss. Tampa Bay loses yesterday at New Orleans, which is crazy because Jameis Winston gets knocked out early. Trevor Siemian, who comes in to lead the New Orleans Saints to victory over Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So now with that Cowboys win under Cooper Rush, the Cowboys in a much better position this Monday morning than they were yesterday morning to have a shot at the number 1 seed throughout the playoffs in the NFC, which is absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, that's got to make you feel good. And thank you, Cooper Rush. Congratulations, Cooper Rush. But let's be clear. I feel the same about you today as I did yesterday. So yes, you deserve all the praise. You deserve all the thank yous. But this doesn't make you comfortable in my eyes to know that you're going out. And I gotta jump in
when you said that.
Okay,
I do not feel the same about Cooper Rush today.
Really?
Oh God, he did what Clint
Best
Longley
backup in the league.
No, he did what Clint Longley did. An unlikely quarterback getting the Cowboys a win they needed for Clint Longley. It was Thanksgiving Day 1974. He did what Jason Garrett did, filling in for Troy Aikman. An unlikely quarter. So yeah, I mean. He's still Cooper Rush, but he on the road at Minnesota, and that was a better team than 3-3. He found a way to win, a couple of big passes, a couple of big touchdowns. So no, I don't love him. Next year, I hope we have a better quarterback, but no, I'm excited about him. What a great win. I loved seeing the footage of his family rejoicing. So anyway, I feel much better about him than I did 24 hours ago. But
I've
go
just
ahead.
seen too much previous Cooper Rush action, and that one game isn't gonna flip the switch for me. But there was so much discussion going into the game of well, Dak. What about Dak? Game time decision. Okay, he wasn't. We learned later he wasn't even taking snaps later. They knew this in the middle of the week. Someone pointed out that in the middle of the week is when the line shifted from 2.5 favorite Cowboys to Minnesota, and that was when the Cowboys reportedly made the decision inwardly.
Yeah.
And maybe to Vegas on the side.
Yeah. Well, see, and I saw our good friend, we'll get him on the show again sometime soon, Tanner Carlson. When that line flipped, Tanner tweeted out, "What does Las Vegas know?" And I wrote, just because it seemed obvious, Las Vegas knows that Dak's not going to play. Isn't that interesting? Cowboys did not make the announcement Dak's not going to play midweek when the line flipped. Even C.D. Lamb, and now it looks like it was disinformation. C.D. Lamb said, "Oh, he's going to play. He looks fine to me." And even some national radio guys said, "CD, you're not supposed to tip off Mike Zimmer that Dak's going to play." So Vegas, they got a mole inside the Cowboys organization. Somebody talk to Vegas.
Or just the NFL, right? I mean, the NFL and the gambling thing is, it's a little questionable, and they're obviously trying to work out some relationships in the future, and the stadiums having the booking and right then and there. That it's not too surprising that information gets leaked over there. Maybe there's a little bit on the side for some, but I would have rather have that time to let it settle in rather than just having my hopes crushed before game time of there's no chance for Dak tonight.
Tell you what, at 6:20, we're going to give away $1,000. Why the heck not? We do this throughout the day at the 20s, starting at 6:20 and do it at 20 after the hour, all the way until 9:20 tonight, wherever you're listening to the show. Ticket 760, AM 1300 The Zone, iHeartRadio app, where it is crystal clear all the time. A lot of people already joining us on the live video feed. So right now, Mr. Dave Ayler, who you'll meet in a moment, fire it up. Let's do the cash giveaway. $1,000. Ralph Balderas, Lucinda Sullivan, Foam Foot 420, Wes Perkins, Robert Browning. Rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's green to 200. Green, good luck. Speaking of green, Shannon, and in the first segment, we'll go in depth on the Longhorns coming up. Cowboys, obviously. World Series, Astros stay alive, obviously. But the San Antonio Spurs go into Milwaukee on Saturday night and do what they've been doing on the 4-game losing streak, and that's play well enough to win against a team that is playoff bound. And it was the second time in a week they played the Milwaukee Bucks, and Bryn Forbes got his championship ring because he played with the Bucks last year. So before the game, little ceremony. Bryn, here's your ring. Thank you for your service to the Bucks. And then the Spurs go out and beat the Milwaukee Bucks on the road. So not only, and I know they've lost 4 games, they're 2-4 now, but in those 4 games against good teams, I kept saying nobody's blown them out. And now they get what is probably going to stand no matter what they do the rest of the year. That's probably going to be one of their best wins of the year, even if they go out and win a lot of games, because you just went on the road and you beat Giannis. And I mean, they had Giannis, they had Chris Middleton. You beat the Bucks on their floor. That was pretty impressive by the San Antonio Spurs.
Okay, so you say that 6 games into the season, probably going to be looked at as one of their best wins on the season, no matter how this shakes out. Do you then lean on it the entire season?
No.
As well as they may not be getting it done every night, but look at this one performance. That's something to grow on. Just that one game. I know we have 82, but look at that one game.
Well, no, that's put that in your pocket, and you've demonstrated now. So now when you take on the Brooklyn Nets or the LA Lakers or the Utah Jazz or whoever's good, now you can say, hey man, we beat the best team in the NBA, the Milwaukee Bucks on their floor. So we now know we can do it. I had so many people calling Spurs react going, oh, the Spurs suck. It's going to be a long year. It's horrible. And I said, have you been watching these games? These guys are good. They got to learn to close. They're young. And, they, at least on Saturday night, they learned to close. I think they might just shock some people this year. But yeah, even if they, 82 game schedule, let's say they go 42-40, that's a big win. That's going to be hard to top, even if you go beat the Lakers at Staples, or if you go beat Brooklyn at the Barclays Center. That's a big win. They are ahead of, even though the record is 2-4, and you go, meh, 2-4. They're ahead of where I thought they'd be. They're better than I thought they'd be right now.
Because what most analysts are saying, 28, right?
The over/under was 28.5. Yes.
All right.
So I think they're going to be better than that. And again, the key is, and although Bill Parcells says you are what your record says you are, so based on that, they're 2-4. But to me, they're better than 2-4. Same way the Vikings were better than 3-3 going into last night. And that, to me, that's what makes that Cowboys win on the. I mean, you got to admit this, Shannon. You feel no better about Cooper Rush, but you must admit this: your typical Cowboys team without Dak. Last year, if they would have come in there with the Red Rocket, the Red Rifle, excuse me, they would have lost that game. That's a game that we lost. And even you said, the Cowboys might say, well, at least Arizona lost, and then at least Tampa Bay lost, so we don't lose ground. That was a big win for the Cowboys in the scheme of things, I think. Well,
and that first half too, with another missed field goal, it was really, it's one thing when the backup is in and it's just the backup struggling, but everyone else does their job. But for a while it was like, okay, we still have to play. We're still playing. We're just playing with a backup. Let's get it together here, folks. So I guess I do give a little bit more credit to Cooper for doing that when the rest of the team apparently didn't have the faith because they weren't playing as well or up to standard that we've known them to this season. But yeah, I'm still not. Oh, thank God he's our backup. Like, I would still take someone else any day of the week.
Yeah, and Chris Collinsworth made a great point on that last touchdown drive where he does throw the touchdown to Amari Cooper. There was a third down Ezekiel Elliott run that got you a 1st and goal that it was looking like Dallas was going to get a field goal and then overtime and a gutty first down by Ezekiel Elliott. So he should get a lot of credit as well. All right, there's a gazillion things going on in the sports world, many of them good. Astros win, Cowboys win, Spurs win, UTSA head football coach Jeff Traylor, and we got to talk about that. Signs a long-term extension yesterday, which I texted Shannon, surprised me that even if he was going to do it, I thought he'd listen to some more offers and let a few more coaches drop in the world of big-time college football to see what other people offer him, but nope. He signs a contract extension through 2031, valued at $28 million plus incentives. He's going to join us at 8:35. They are still undefeated. That's going to be a very interesting conversation at 8:35. Shannon's Salty Shakedown in the 7 o'clock hour, along with sports history and sports birthdays. The high five play of the day is next. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. We will meet your soundscape stylist, Dave Ayler, in the next segment. Lots going on a Monday, November 1st. We're with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Lucinda, Tracy Bogart, Louisa West, Robert, Foam Foot 420, Ralph Balderas, James Wright, Opha Lynn from Singapore. Oh, that's loud. Steve Duraco. I need coffee and tea. Thank you very much. Let's see. I'm going to. There's the cardboard braggy cam. All right. Like the echo? I had another camera set up just in case I had problems. I thought I was having technical problems. All right. Let's see. What do I need? I'll be right back. Woo! I do need coffee on my trip. Just saying. This is my official coffee cam. I am so tired from staying up late for the World Series and the Cowboys, but I don't care. It's a good kind of sleep deprivation. I can live with it. Thank you, Lucinda. Our patron saint of coffee. Yeah, Louisa, I see you're talking about that Gary Patterson story. First of all, let me get rid of that. Okay. That's a shocker as well. We'll get into that. Let me see here. Taro Kotani. Ralph, I don't know about Trayvon Diggs' ankle. I didn't hear anything more last night, and obviously I was kind of locked in on, let me search it on Twitter. Yeah, John Machado after the game did not have anything new on the ankle injury. Yeah, there's no update. Diagnosed with an ankle sprain, according to one report. So ankle sprain better than broken ankle, obviously. So yeah, let's just hope it's something that's not going to keep him out for an extended period. Yeah, Gary Patterson out at TCU. That's another. That would have been another landing spot, and with a buyout, still could be for Jeff Traylor. So. That's part of this. I think that's part of this Jeff Traylor story is you can't forget that there could be a buyout. Better guzzle some coffee while I can. Yeah, Taro Kotani, good to see you in here, man. What a great win for the Spurs. Here we come. The greatest international Spurs fan, Taro Kotani, joins us from Tokyo.
Shannon Salty Sweeney.
Welcome back. You can tweet at us or call us. Tweet Shannon at Shannon B. Sweeney. Tweet me at Chris Duel. The Twitter accounts of the radio stations are at AM 1300 The Zone and at Ticket 760. You could tweet Dave Ayler, but you're not going to find him in the Twitter sphere because he hates Twitter. Let me see if I can get you off. Oh, you are off of mute. Beautiful. Dave Ayler, before we do the high five play of the day, did you stay up for, and I know you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so you're not a Cowboys fan per se, and you're a St. Louis Cardinals fan, so you're not a Houston Astros fan per se, but did you watch any or all of the World Series or the Cowboys-Vikings game last night?
I didn't watch either of them because those are on way past my bedtime. But my Steelers did win, an ugly win against Cleveland, and Walter Pasacaria's Jets helped out with the win over the Bengals.
That was a shocker, too.
Yeah, that was a good game. And just real quickly before we get to the high five thing, the Longhorns, they're struggling for a 7-5 season, right?
If you win 3 of the next 4, I think that's attainable.
And wasn't that Dave Campbell's prediction?
Ooh.
In his
I
college?
think
We can go 8-4.
True.
I'm hoping for at least 7-5 because, more than that, because I just want to prove Dave Campbell wrong. Because we were all laughing at him at the beginning of the season.
That's a good point.
Does he have some kind of time machine where he goes in the future and
apparently
comes back? Because I would never thought the Longhorns would have this record.
Well, and the two things. One, Dave Campbell said 7-5 for the Longhorns, which I laughed at and scoffed at. Then he said 10-2 for the UTSA Roadrunners. I'm like, oh my God, if we could go 10-2 as Roadrunners, and here they are 8-0, and some people still thinking they're going to run the table, and I'm sure hoping for it.
I'd love for them to run the table, but 7-5, we all scoffed at him. What are you thinking?
Yes,
because I was thinking 9 wins.
So was I, easily. I think I had him. I think at 10. I had him at 9 or 10, and go to the Big 12 championship game against Oklahoma. Yeah,
they were there. Is the hard part to swallow.
Yes,
right.
Yes. Double-digit leads in each of the last 3 games against ranked opponents. Yes.
Okay, you take the loss to Arkansas, but these last 3 losses in a row should have never come down to what they did. And that's the hard part. And even people who predicted them to win, to lose X many games, I don't think saw them losing those, particularly the way they did. Because I think a lot of those people, like even me, who thought there would probably be a loss to Oklahoma and then a toss-up between the Baylor or Oklahoma State, that if they were to lose, it wouldn't be because they had a lead and then they have a meltdown. They would just never led throughout the game. And I'm losing steam on this season, and it's sad because I hate playing the next year.
And I thought they were going to lose to Oklahoma, Iowa State, and one other one.
Yeah,
and then they would pretty much win the other ones.
Yeah,
and it shows how good I am at picking games.
Yeah, but you were almost right. The Arkansas loss kind of shocked everybody, but as Shannon mentions and people who watched, they could have, should have, would have beat Oklahoma State, and now Baylor. One other quick note, Shannon, and again, so many things to talk about, and we'll get into more of them in depth throughout the show, but a shocker coming out of Fort Worth, at least I thought so. Gary Patterson, after over 20 years at head coach at TCU, they lose at Kansas State, which a lot of people do that. They lost at Kansas State 31-12. So they dropped to 3-5 overall, 1-4 in the Big 12. And they don't even wait until the end of the season. They blew out Gary Patterson yesterday at TCU. How do you feel about that?
Well, a mutual parting of ways. And
so that's a nice way of saying, hey, we'll let you say that, but we're going to blow you out.
But there is some interesting bits of just considering the open positions that there are right now in the college football world, considering his longevity that he's had at TCU, that you'd think after 20 plus years, if he wanted to stay to finish out the season, he probably would have, and they probably would have allowed it. I mean, he was the second longest tenured coach in college football. He was the longest tenured coach in the Big 12. Obviously, the last few years have been difficult, but I think he's still a pretty high profile guy, and he's proven that he can put together a team. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear his name pretty quickly be attached to another program that we are familiar with. I'm not saying it's going to be the LSUs or the USCs, but the timing is certainly interesting for this one.
All right, we'll talk more about that. And my goodness, the big coaching news out of San Antonio yesterday. UTSA head football coach Jeff Traylor signs an extension all the way through the 2031 season, and he joins us at 8:35. But something I was talking about during the break, that there's still a buyout. There's always a buyout option if somebody comes and wants to throw enough money at Jeff Traylor. So that's a very interesting story. All right. Speaking of interesting stories, it's always interesting when we do our high five play of the day. Somebody's always deserving of a high five, usually in the sports world. And I do believe we're going to give out a high five to the sports world this morning. High five play of the day, appropriately sponsored by High Five. 2 locations in the Austin area. Everything you need for sports, for dining, for drinking, for gaming. They've got great food, great drinks, big screen TVs everywhere, food specials, drink specials. They got bowling, they got axe throwing, they got laser tag, they got all kinds of games you can play. 2 locations of High Five in the Austin area. Shannon, who shall we deliver a high five unto on this Monday morning?
The NFL pumps out amazing content, from obviously the action on the field, anything behind the scenes, locker room, tunnel, fan interaction, interviews with players, coaches. It's pretty fantastic. And last weekend, we got a video after the Bucs game of Tom Brady running over to a young fan. He was holding a sign that said, "Tom Brady helped me beat brain cancer." We then see the video. Tom shakes his hand. He places his hat on the kid's head. The kid starts crying. He talks to the dad, and then he walks off, and you think, oh my gosh, what a fantastic moment. Well, now we know that there was even a bigger tie-in to this story. That young man's name is Noah Reed. He did, in fact, beat brain cancer with the help of Tom Brady. Huge Tom Brady fan, always has been, even when Tom was with the Patriots, out of Utah. He, like I said, had been battling brain cancer. And when he defeated it, he was promised by his folks they would take him to see Tom Brady. They did. That's where we get the hat moment. But we get this story thanks to ESPN of the connection the two shared, and that Tom Brady actually sent him a video. And we have it for you here a couple months ago as an inspiration to Noah and to help him along.
Hey, Noah, how you doing? I just wanted to let you know that I'm thinking about you. I know you're one of my biggest fans in Utah, and I know you got a great family that loves you and support your mom and dad and your siblings, and I just want to let you know, thinking about you, I'm with you. My thoughts and prayers are with you and your family, and hang tough. You're going to be great. I know it. And get well soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
I've not been shy. I support Tom Brady. Him being in the league is a detriment to my team, and I would like him to retire as quickly as possible. But I can't say enough about the man, Tom Brady, for doing this. And we have to also give a high five for Chris Godwin, because
Yes.
Godwin is the one who saw the kids sign first during, I believe, warm-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Said, man, if I could just get Tom to acknowledge him, and just wave at him, whatever. And Tom ends up after the game going over and giving the kid his hat, his game-worn hat, the hat he would put on while on the sideline, and that's just fantastic. And I have to think and believe, after this little package that ESPN put together, it's a 6-minute emotional roller coaster for anyone who wants to check it out. The Noah Reed story. I don't think his story with Tom Brady is done yet. I see them meeting again in the future.
I totally agree with you. It is a 6-minute emotional roller coaster. It got me. It evoked my tears when I watched it. We have tweeted it out, not on the live video feed. We just put out the link where you can go look at and I highly recommend it, whether you're a sports fan or not, whether you're a Tom Brady fan, or even if you don't like him. This 9-year-old kid with a brain tumor and all that he went through. We talk about this, Shannon, and I'm such a big believer. Whenever you can, use your platform for good. And Tom Brady did. And I'm so glad, because you look at this video package. If Chris Godwin didn't see this little boy's sign, which said, Tom Brady helped me beat brain cancer, Chris Godwin goes over, says hello to the little boy. Then, as you mentioned, he said, if I can just get Tom to look over and wave. And obviously Tom goes over there, puts a hat on the kid's head and shakes his hand and talks to them. It is one of the more moving video packages I've seen this football season. Way cool. And again, the more I watch Tom Brady, and I was watching that game yesterday, and I was pulling against Tom Brady because I knew a Saints win would help the Dallas Cowboys in the standings. But it's harder and harder to dislike Tom Brady these days. And somebody pointed out, and I got a message from somebody, Tom Brady got knocked around a lot yesterday. He usually, that offensive line usually, keeps him clean and keeps him off the ground. 43-year-old Tom Brady's got to have some aches and pains this morning. Those New Orleans Saints, including Marcus Davenport, New Orleans Saints defensive lineman out of UTSA, got to Tom Brady a few times, a lot of times after he had thrown the football, but he got knocked around quite a bit yesterday.
Yeah, if I recall, that was how he ended the game yesterday. Was him
on his rear end,
on his rear end, on his back. And it was interesting because he throws an interception. I think there's 1:26 left on the clock. Throws an interception. It ends up being a pick six. They make the field goal, so then it does become a 2-score game. Saints up by 9. And part of me is like, oh, but it's Tom Brady. Which, again, I sports hate the guy. Like, that's so annoying that I have to be real and think 9 minutes, Tom Brady with one timeout. You never know. But they did in that Bucs run. And like you said, I was going for the Saints too, because Cowboys.
Yeah.
Hello. It's there for you. It's there for the taking. All tied up. 1-loss teams.
There you go. And the Rams won big yesterday. Let me pull up the standings real quick. So Rams 7-1, Cardinals 7-1, Packers 7-1, Cowboys 6-1. And then with that loss, now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with 2 losses. But my God, though, Shannon, just looking at these standings, the talent level of these very good teams in the NFL. Packers, after losing on opening day in Jacksonville to the Saints in that game that had to be moved, they've won 7 in a row now, have the Packers. Tampa Bay, they've got Tom, so they're going to be tough. And then in the NFC West, you've got 2 7-1 teams now atop the NFC West, the Arizona Cardinals and the LA Rams. Now, granted, Rams lately have beaten teams like the Texans and, the Rams have, but they're winning. The Rams have won 4 in a row. So come playoff time, and again, Shannon, all the more reason if the Cowboys can find a way to get that first round bye, because so many of those teams are so good and are just going to beat the crud out of each other. If you can take a week off in the playoffs, A, get a first round bye, and B, get home field throughout the playoffs, that's going to be a big benefit to somebody. And we certainly hope it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, especially considering where we already are in the season, a little bit of wear and tear. The Dak calf injury, a bit of a lingering issue due to his ankle injury, right? The dealings of that meant he had to rely more heavily on those calf muscles, ends up getting strained, and that's where we are with him right now. So any time off we can give this team, I'm here for it. And I really am hopeful that this is not only the year we get into the playoffs without having it to come down to the last couple of games of the season, but can earn us a bye.
That was such a big win yesterday against the Minnesota Vikings. In the scheme of things, we wouldn't, if they would have lost to the Vikings yesterday and gone to 5-2, we wouldn't be having this conversation this morning. It would already begin to look like home field and the best record in the NFC might be slipping away. Just looking at the next opponents for the Cowboys, home against Denver, and then the next week, home against Atlanta, both very, very winnable. And then the Sunday before Thanksgiving, November 21st, at Kansas City, going to be very difficult. However, we're finding out this year, Kansas City is mortal, so you got a chance at that one. Hopefully Dak's back. Hopefully the Cowboys are hitting on all cylinders. Hopefully the Cowboy defense can give Patrick Mahomes fits. And then you've got the short turnaround Thanksgiving Day against the Las Vegas Raiders. I would think of those 4 games, Shannon, between now and Thanksgiving in the next 25 days, because today's November 1st and Thanksgiving is November 25th. You can certainly win 3 out of those 4. And if all things go amazingly, you win that Kansas City game, maybe the Cowboys win 4 out of those 4.
Yeah, I agree. It's so interesting that we are in this position as fans, because like I said, a lot of times it comes down to the last couple of games of the season, and you're mathing it up, right? Okay, so and so has to lose XYZ, and the Cowboys need to win here, here, and here, and it's not completely in our hands. It's out of our control. We need these other teams to help us out. And you mentioned you've been calling the Braves the team of destiny. It kind of feels like the Cowboys are under that same thing, because they're going out and they're taking care of the business that they have in front of them, right? You can only play who's on your schedule. You can only play week to week. But at the same time, we're also having the Saints hand a loss to the Bucks, and the Chiefs are floundering in a year that we thought they would be making another run potentially to the Super Bowl. So it all is kind of working right now in the Cowboys' favor.
We have a lot to talk about. We have highlights from last night's World Series win by the Houston Astros, 9-5 over the Atlanta Braves. And coming up, one of our World Series and baseball correspondents, along with Mike Hardball Harge, that would be one Scott Manziera. Scott Manziera going to join us from his baseball perch in St. Louis next. We'll bring you highlights of the World Series. We'll talk more Dallas Cowboys. We have Dallas Cowboys highlights as well. UTSA head coach Jeff Traylor, who just signed that contract extension at 8:35. It's the Chris Duel Show. All right. Dave, I'm going to bring you Scott Manziera just got back with me. I'm going to bring you his phone number now.
I think I got it.
Oh, okay. I'll walk in there and just double check in case you don't. I'll have it on my phone. Yeah, I asked him late last night after the Astros win. So he just saw that. So I'll be right in there. I'm going to go and say hello to Dave Ayler. In fact, I might be able to take you in there. Why the heck not? Let's go traveling through the palatial iHeartRadio building. Here's the high-tech Dave Ayler setup. So do you have his number? I don't want to say his number on I don't want to give it out. Yeah, I think I do. Okay, and if not, I got it here on my phone. Is it right here? That looks like it. Let me just double check it. Yeah, so what I was going to do, if the Astros lost, I knew we weren't going to want to dwell on the Astros, but I figured if they won,
Right.
I wanted them.
Okay.
Let's see. Yes, sir. That's a 9. Your last one?
Yeah.
Your last digit? Yeah. Okay, sir. There you have it. Woo! Xavier Moreno, welcome. Okay, now I'm back in. All right. In fact, can I here you can see some of Dave Ayler's highfalutin, big time, high tech setup in here. Yeah, I got my. I always tell people it's my Manu Ginobili bald spot. I have it to honor Manu Ginobili. I got the same thing going on. Thank you, sir. Somebody left some headphones here, some earbuds on the couch. He coveted Jose Altuve jersey. Patty Mills, thanks for being on the show. Cardboard Greggy playing a little better last night. Let's keep a good thing going, please. Yeah, Xavier Moreno, you are correct. They did extend him, but there's always the buyout. If TCU wanted to throw a ton of money at Jeff Traylor, that would be a possibility. See, if I lower that, does that get rid of the... I don't think so. I still have the echo. Okay. Also, what I'd like to do, Dave, I forgot to tell you, play the highlights before we go to Scott. So in other words, so you've got the grand slam, you've got Greinke getting a hit, you got the score being tied, and you've got Marwin Gonzalez. Is that correct? Those are 4 separate cuts? Okay. So we'll get him on the line, but I won't go to him until we play the highlights. Thank you, sir. It's a little weird having 2 of me, don't you think? Isn't that? I'm only doing that because it's the break, and I used the reason I brought this laptop on board. When I was beginning the feed this morning, it was telling me my mic wasn't working here, which obviously it is now. So Jason Paniagua says, stop overlooking the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm not overlooking them, Jason. I just think they're beatable, especially at AT&T Stadium on Thanksgiving. Beth Settle, good morning. Hey, Beth. We have Scott Manziera joining us next, who is an absolute baseball freak, fan, analyst, expert. First, we'll have some highlights. Let's see here. Thank you, sir. Scott Manziera is on the line. Let's see. I do have what's going on there. Whoops. Here we come.
This is the Chris Duel Show. Now, Chris Duel.
It is a new month. It is a new week. And the Houston Astros have new life. Welcome into the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. So much going on in the world of sports. Over the weekend, the Astros lose 2, but win last night and stay alive and send the series back to Houston for a game number 6 tomorrow night at Minute Maid Park in Houston. Cowboys win last night without Dak Prescott. Cooper Rush leads the Dallas Cowboys to victory. Spurs win in Milwaukee on Saturday night. That's a beautiful thing. The Longhorns lose to Baylor after having a double-digit lead for the 3rd consecutive game against a ranked opponent. And UTSA Roadrunners head coach Jeff Traylor signs a multi-year contract extension. He will join us, as he always does, on Mondays at 8:35. His Roadrunners 8-0. Lots to talk about with UTSA head coach Jeff Traylor. But Shannon, right now, let's dive into some World Series action. And in a moment, we'll talk with our good friend and one of our main go-to guys on all things baseball, Scott Manziera. But Shannon, when there was a grand slam home run hit by the Atlanta Braves last night, it was, for me, deja vu all over again. And that was in the bottom of the 1st inning. Sure did remind me of those 2 games against the Boston Red Sox, one where they hit the 2 grand slams and the other one where they hit the grand slam. Usually, and I turned to my wife, Beth, Shannon, and I said, usually there's no coming back from a grand slam home run like that.
Yeah, that was not a pretty sight. I mean, I'm
Highlights
honestly,
coming.
I was watching it outside as trick-or-treaters were coming by. We had a setup with a projector and the whole thing, and that happened, and I was ready to just change it on the Cowboys game and keep it there.
Yeah. I thought I'd be spending most of the night on the Cowboys game after that grand slam home run. Before we bring on Scott Manziera, let's listen to some highlights from last night's game, including what we were just talking about, a moment where we thought perhaps all was lost for the Houston Astros.
Rudolph Valdez from game 1. Hits it in the air to right. Back at the wall. Grand slam!
The only thing good about giving up a grand slam, if you give it up in the bottom of the first inning, you got 8 other innings to try to get back into the game. And a bit of a surprise, Shannon. I said that sometimes Zach Greinke can make me cranky. I did not expect Zach Greinke coming in, Dusty Baker inserting him as a pinch hitter. This was pretty amazing. Zach, no pitching last night for Zach Greinke because he had pitched the previous night, but it sent him in. They needed a bat, and Zach Greinke had a bat.
Well, he does have 9 home runs. He does have a World Series hit in this series, 1 for 2 last night, and he pitched great. I mean, 4 innings, at least what goes down as great. And starting pitching, and good starting pitching has been so scarce as he lines one into right, a base hit.
Zach Greinke, that might be the final base hit by a pitcher in World Series history, as the pitchers are not expected to be batting based on a new collective bargaining agreement coming. We might talk about that with Scott Manziera here in a moment. And then Astros fans, things started really looking up for the Astros when they tied the score.
3-1 pitch. That's inside, and this game is tied. A bases-loaded walk to Martin Maldonado after the intentional pass to Bregman, and it's 5-5 here in the 5th of Game 5.
That tied the score at 5-5 in the 5th, but the Astros were not done in the 5th. Up to bat came Marwin Gonzalez.
And he floats one into left center. That will get down. Score 1 and score 2. The ball hits Maldonado, but Marwin Gonzalez has delivered, and the Astros have their first lead of the night. It's 7-5.
That was 7-5 in the top of the 5th. The Astros would add a run in the top of the 7th, another one in the top of the 8th. Final score last night, Astros 9, Atlanta Braves 5. And Shannon, we've got 1 or 2 games left in this series, and it is the subject of our poll question this morning.
Yeah, backs against the wall for the Astros. So now asking how will the World Series play out? Braves in 6, currently at 31%. Braves in 7, 9%. And lots of Astros believers, Chris, with 59%. Astros in 7. You got to play into some home advantage a little bit, right? You got to figure backs against the wall. They're at least going to pull out this one to take it to Game 7.
I sure hope so, and I got to believe, and we'll ask Scott Manziera that now. Is the pressure now on the Atlanta Braves for game number 6? He is one of our go-to guys on all things baseball, long-time contributor to this show, former voice of UIW Athletics here in San Antonio, a native of St. Louis, where he is now, St. Louis sports broadcaster, Scott Manziera. Scott, how you doing this morning?
I am doing great. We got an extra day of baseball. Somebody could be Mr. November. I'm always excited when the series goes longer. How are you guys doing?
I am good. I hope that there's 2 extra days and nights of baseball, of course. And first question, something I just brought up. Who is the pressure on in Game 6? Obviously, it's a win-or-go-home game for the Astros, but since they did not seal the deal in Atlanta, having to go to Minute Maid Park, how much pressure will be on the Atlanta Braves tomorrow night?
Game 6, all the pressure is on the Braves. I feel like the Astros, with their back up against the wall, but they're at home. They have the experience. The starter that would go for Atlanta, Max Fried, has pitched terribly in his last 2 starts. He's gotten absolutely lit up here in the postseason, those last 2. All the pressure is going to be on him tomorrow night, kind of like what was on Framber Valdez last night. So I expect the Astros to win Game 6. I really do. I feel like a lot of the experience comes into play. But also that, you guys just talked about it, and I couldn't have said it better myself. Nobody thought the Astros could come back after giving up that grand slam in the first inning. I was doing the same thing, flipping back and forth between the Cowboys game, because I'm like, okay, Braves just scored 4. This is their night. It's destiny for them to win here in Game 5. And thank goodness the people in the field still believe, because I don't know how you can come back from getting a gut punch like that on the road in the World Series, facing elimination, and then win the game by 4 runs. That was incredible.
I mean, Adam Duvall walks up to the plate, bases are loaded, and I know they have to do it, right? They have to give us the stat. Well, he's hit 5 grand slams this season. And then I believe it was the first pitch was where he knocked it out of the park. Baseball already such a superstitious sport. Do you believe in the broadcaster jinx? And as an Astros fan, can I lean on that as to why that took place last night?
So I know I am a huge baseball fan. Unfortunately, superstitions, I can't buy into. I talk about shutouts in hockey when goalies have no goals lit up in the third period. I have the no-hitter when somebody's got a no-hitter like the Braves did earlier in the series. I don't know why. I can't buy into it, but I will buy into the fact that Adam Duval is basically home run or get out. I mean, half of his hits here in the World Series have been a home run or he's gotten out. The guy's got incredible power, over 40 home runs now this year. So, I mean, he's such a staple in that lineup now, and he was a part of that trade deadline grabbing of the Braves when all three of their outfielders from opening day aren't even on the World Series roster. It's all guys they acquired: Eddie Rosario, Adam Duvall being two of those big guys. Of course, Jorge Soler hit that leadoff home run. He came one of the World Series. So it's all been about those free agent those trade acquisitions that they made at the deadline have made such an impact on this team, and it's a big reason why they're here.
Yeah, you mentioned Eddie Rosario, Scott, and I don't know if you remember from your time in San Antonio, there's a really good Mexican restaurant down in Southtown called Rosario's, and if the Braves win this series, I will never eat at Rosario's again because of Eddie Rosario. And unlike you, Scott Manziera, I believe in jinxes, the blue jersey jinx, the Sports Illustrated jinx, a black cat crossing your path, especially on Halloween, is a jinx. So I am all about the jinxes, and I am all about the superstitions. Talking baseball with Scott Manziera after the Astros beat the Braves last night 9-5, forcing a Game 6 tomorrow night at Minute Maid Park. One of the big storylines last night, Scott, was Dusty Baker, the Astros manager, juggling the lineup a little bit, putting Alex Bregman, who had been in a slump, they sent him to the number 7 slot. He was batting 7th. Which ironically, and I heard the stat last night, last time he did that was 2017. And I immediately thought, well, last time the Astros won a World Series was 2017. So I'm good with that. What do you think about Dusty Baker changing his lineup? And do you think because it was successful, he'll go with the same lineup in Game 6?
So it seems like every single thing that Dusty Baker did last night, he turned water into wine on every single decision. You have Bregman batting low, so he gets the intentional walk. So Maldonado draws a walk to tie the game. You pinch hit Zach Greinke. I don't know a manager in baseball that would pinch pitcher in a World Series game. It works out, but not just that single. That's not even what I'm just talking about. That pinch hit allows Marwin Gonzalez to not bat that spot. He bats later in the game, gives the Astros the lead. He puts his Game 6 starter in the game when it's tight. Jose Urquidy, I guarantee you, was going to go in Game 6 had he not had that relief out in. Got the Astros still with a tight game. Only went 1 inning through 14 pitches, so I would expect to see him in a relief capacity in Game 6 and Game 7 if there is one. But it just seemed like every single thing he did last night just worked so perfectly. You just can't even believe it. That doesn't happen in this new era of baseball where managers make decisions that just go flawless like that, or you put all your trust in a manager. The Astros did, and it paid dividends for them.
Scott, to start the World Series, the first game had 10 million viewers. Compare that to the NFL first game of the season, Cowboys versus Bucks, over 20 million views. You have to figure games or Astros back against the wall could be the take it all home for the Braves. They get that grand slam in the beginning of the game. They're on at the same time as the Cowboys again last night. Who do you think won that TV battle? Because we don't have the numbers yet, but you got to figure the World Series does carry some weight, especially when it could be championship night.
I do, and had I never lived in Texas, I would have easily said the Astros would have won that battle. But living in Texas and understanding the fandom of the Dallas Cowboys, I got to imagine the Cowboys won that battle last night. Even with the Astros situation, facing elimination and in the World Series, it just seems like I saw those numbers too, Shannon. I'm glad you brought that up. It seems like when we get into, numbers like that when it comes to viewership, if it's not the Yankees, if it's not the Dodgers, if it's not one of these blue blood teams that have won like 10 plus World Series, it just the numbers just aren't there. There's so much more local market. Here's the other thing. I know I'm getting off my lawn here, but these games for the World Series, I'm a huge baseball fan, but they are taking so long, and they're starting so late, especially if you're on the East Coast, and you don't really have a dog in the fight if you're up in New York or one of those major markets. It's tough. It's really tough to want to continue to stay up. I swear, I messaged Chris right before I came on. I fell asleep right before the ninth inning started because the games are just taking so long. I mean, it was 3 hours, and we weren't even at the top of the seventh. So not only just viewership, but just keeping viewership interest, because that was a great game last night. But the fact that it took over 4 hours probably drove some people away.
Huge points as we talk baseball with Scott Manziera. And if I wasn't an Astros fan last night, I don't think I would have been sticking with it till past 11 o'clock last night. More coming up with Scott and talking more World Series. But right now it's 7:20. We're going to take a quick time out to give you a shot at $1,000. It's our Grand in Your Hand cash contest, and it goes like this.
To win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword dollar to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's dollar to 200-200.
Talking World Series with Scott Manziera as the Houston Astros last night beat the Atlanta Braves 9-5. They overcome an Atlanta grand slam in the bottom of the first inning and still win the thing 9-5, forcing a Game 6 tomorrow night at Minute Maid Park. Scott, we talked about Zach Greinke, the fact that Dusty Baker put him into pinch hit and he got a hit. And as I mentioned, that may be the final time we see a pitcher get a hit in the World Series. Word is that the players and the owners will come to an agreement to have the universal DH, designated hitter in both the National and American League. Your thoughts about that? Do you agree with it? And your thoughts on maybe are seeing pitchers hit for the last time in the World Series?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Chris. I do think that last night you saw history with Zach Greinke getting the last pitcher hit in the World Series. I do think the universal DH is going to come into play, and I know for the Astros fans that a huge deal, considering they've been in the AL for a while now, so they haven't really seen pitchers hit. But as somebody that's a huge NL fan, it directly impacts me and St. Louis Cardinals, of course, because I just am so happy for the universal DH. I really am. I'm excited for it to come. Just making a St. Louis connection. Adam Wainwright tore his Achilles running to first base. Coming out of the box, he's out for the season. We don't need to have pitchers continually going up there and hitting one out of every 50 at bats getting the base hit. You have isolated incidents like Zach Greinke, who for some reason is just raking right now, and it's so cool and fun to watch. But it's fun to watch in those situations where you have pitchers that can actually hit. So in the future, if they want to pinch hit for Zach Greinke, they can still do that. It just doesn't have to be every single time through the order. I think it'll be more fun. I think fans will realize that too. It'll be more fun when a pitcher does get a chance to take an at-bat and you see him get a hit rather than see him, every 9 batters come up there and try to go swinging.
We talked about Dusty Baker a little earlier and the adjustments he made to help the Astros get a win last night over the Braves. They're heading back to Houston. What do you see them needing to do to get it done? Because they're going to have to win out. To win the whole thing. That'd be 3 in a row. Braves couldn't win 3 in a row to close out last night. So what do the Astros need to focus on to finish here at home?
They're going to have to get the Max Fried, first of all, tomorrow night. Their offense is going to have to start out, just as high as it did yesterday. You can't fall behind 4-0 and expect to win another game. So, the Braves offense is hot. They got to be pretty demoralized after blowing that game last night. So you stay with the same approach you did against Max Fried earlier on in the season or series. You get him out of the game because the Braves just had to use, just like the Astros, a lot of their bullpen last night. Yes, they get the day off today and they won't have to play until tomorrow, but still, it's been a long season. Those guys are really taxed. Now everybody, hitters and pitching-wise, has seen each other multiple times, so there's not going to be a whole lot of surprises. But you get by Max Fried, you give your chance at a Game 7. Now, you guys remember earlier on in the series, the Braves nearly no-hit the Astros. That's the guy you're going to face in Game 7, and Ian Anderson for the Braves. But good news for Astros fans is that he's a rookie. He is going to be nervous. So If you can get to that game 7, I truly believe it's going to be anyone's game. And it's going to be really exciting to watch. But I think for the Astros, the key to the game is get Max out tomorrow night.
Finally, Scott, before this series began, in fact, before game 1, I texted you because I wanted you to go on the record and make a pick. Shannon and I picked Astros in 6. We now know that can't happen. The best for the Astros would be an Astros in 7. You picked Braves in 6. Now, earlier you said you kind of see the Astros winning this thing tomorrow at Minute Maid Park. So which will it be? Will it be your original impression that there would be a game 6 and the Braves would win game 6? Or do you now revise that? And you're a lot more objective about this than Shannon and I, because we're Astros fans. We rely on your objectivity, your final unbiased, no dog in the fight pick for the game 6 and or game 7 in this series.
Ooh, that's tough, Chris. Here's the reason why I picked Atlanta in 6. They had Charlie Morton. Let's not forget, Charlie Morton went out the first game. He would have been your game 5 starter last night, and getting a grand slam in the first inning and seeing Charlie Morton out there for 5 more innings, we might be done with the World Series right now. It might have been Braves in 5. That was a huge injury, a huge exit for the Braves, which is why I'm a lot more confident in a Houston winning game 6, just seeing how Max is pitched. It's really tough to go from back-to-back terrible starts and all of a sudden out of nowhere you strike lightning in a bottle and just figure out your stuff again. So that's why I really like Astros to win, tomorrow night. I think we're going to a game 7. When you get to game 7, man, anything can happen. I really don't even know who's going to start for Houston in game 7. Zach Greinke's going to pitch. I'm sure Keedy's going to pitch. You might even see Framber Valdez pitch when we get to a game 7. It's going to be so much fun. I think I'm letting myself root for a game 7, and it is shadowing my objectivity a little bit. But I want to keep out there that I did take Braves in 6 before. But if I get to choose, I really want to see Astros in 7.
If the Braves win in 6, I will hate it, but I will give you mega props because that was your pick at the outset. Scott Manziera, a great follow on Twitter at SManziera2. If you don't know how to spell Manziera, just go and look at the Ticket 760 or AM 1300 The Zone or I just tweeted out that he was going to be on my Twitter account. You'll see a little link to Scott's Twitter page. Scott, always outstanding baseball perspective. We love talking all sports with you, especially baseball. Thanks for taking the time. Enjoy game 6 tomorrow night.
Hey, thanks so much, Chris. Thank you, Shannon. I also want to say shout out to Coach Traylor, who I know is going to be joining you guys next hour. I'm so happy to see UTSA in a national perspective doing what they're doing. I know that I was always thinking very highly of them when I was in San Antonio with UIW. It was the first game I ever called in Texas was UTSA UIW. I'm so happy he got that contract extension and for all of UTSA.
How cool is that? Thank you so much, Scott. Yeah, and I forgot that he did call that game for UIW when they took on UTSA in the Alamo Dome a couple of years ago. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, this day in sports history and sports birthdays. And as we mentioned, a guy who made a lot of noise and a lot of news yesterday when it was announced that UTSA signed him to a contract extension. The undefeated head coach of the UTSA Roadrunners, Jeff Traylor, going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour just after 8:35. So much to talk about. World Series, Cowboys win, NFL football, college football, so much more. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. Dave Ayler makes the show go. We're with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Sam Tobias, welcome. Anthony Del Toro, Beth Settle, Xavier Moreno, Jason Paniagua, Robert Browning, Ralph Balderas, Wes Perkins, Taro Kotani from Tokyo, Hector Gomez, Luisa Alanis, Foam Foot 420, Lucinda Sullivan, Pen Dejo, that's what he's listed as, a.k.a. Tracy Bogert. Anybody else who may be watching us right now. James Wright. Ofa Lin joins us from Singapore. Steve Duraco. Welcome, everybody. I do believe I am going to grab some coffee. But as I do, you have the ability to give you a Mike Taylor cam for your viewing pleasure. There's glare on it. How do we get rid of that glare? Maybe like that. There you go. You can enjoy some Mike Taylor. And Cardboard Greggy on the other camera. Make sure you get some. Oh, I went the wrong way. Try that again. Alex Bregman, ladies and gentlemen, who his slump may be over. Let us pray to God. Woo! 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 Thank you, Mike Taylor. And the Mike Taylor dancers. Whoops! Bregman fell down. I hope that's not an omen. You can't have that. Thank you, Sam Tobias. Thank goodness for coffee. Current voting in our poll, how will the World Series play out? Astros in 7, 61%. Braves in 6, 29%. Braves in 7, 11%. Here we go. Woo! Woo!
Let's get back to the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Find Chris and Salty on Twitter at Chris Duel and at Shannon B. Sweeney.
And welcome back on a beautiful Monday, November 1st. Beautiful because the Astros are still alive. Might have to play Staying Alive by the Bee Gees either today or tomorrow, as tomorrow is game number 6, Minute Maid Park in Houston. We just talked baseball with Scott Manziera. Coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, the man who just signed a contract extension at UTSA. It was an extension through the 2031 season. It's valued at $28 million. Jeff Traylor's salary will average $2.8 million in addition to potential bonuses. And apparently a big part of that is the money allocated for assistant coaches will increase as well. That's a big, big deal for UTSA head football coach Jeff Traylor. So we'll congratulate him on the new contract. We'll congratulate him and talk about the Roadrunners being 8-0 and look ahead to the next game and the next 4 games as the UTSA Roadrunners have an opportunity to continue to win and continue to put themselves in a position for a better bowl opportunity. In a moment, Shannon's first salty shakedown of the month of November. I can't even wrap my head around the fact that we are already in November of 2021. That's absolutely crazy, but here we are. I'll take it. Shannon, I didn't even ask you before we get this going. You said you were outside giving candy to trick-or-treaters. You had a big projector outside. That's how you were watching the World Series. So how did the Halloween experience go for you?
It was fine. We do this thing on the street I grew up on, where it's a street I don't know how to describe it. You don't drive down it. You don't go down it if you're not going. It's like you only go there if you live there, right? Like it's not a through street. It's so we've always done this thing where on the corner by the busier street, everyone who lives on that street, we set up a table and every house brings their own candy bowl. So it's a one-stop shop for these kids, so they don't like get to the end of the street and feel like, well, wait, now I'm cornered by places I've already been. So they just grab their candy, turn around and go. And then we have like our own food table, and my folks bring down a projector, and cool. We because it just always seems to be that there's an important, whether it's a college game, it always seems like we're getting MLB postseason games. So it's, priorities.
Yes.
Take care of the kids and their candy, but also take care of your viewing needs.
Absolutely. Any memorable Halloween costumes that you saw last night among the kids?
To be quite honest, I don't pay too much attention to the children, but there was a little kid, their family, they were all dressed as Mickey Mouse, and this kid, he's a pandemic baby, I learned. He handed me his Mickey Mouse hat, like it had the ears. I was like, I got a big head. It's not gonna fit, but thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. That's about it. Yeah, I didn't really, my back was kind of turned to the kids watching the game most of the time.
Yeah, where I live, no kids have ever shown up on Halloween. As a childless person, that's just fine by me.
I had a friend who didn't buy her Halloween candy until yesterday, like the day of, and stores were wiped clean. It's already Christmas candy.
Whoa.
I'm like, I mean, technically you're ahead because today a lot of people are just flipping the script. So that way they're all set. They're good to keep that candy throughout the season. Good on you. You're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and you make a great point. Starting today, wherever you shop, you're going to see Christmas decorations.
You're going to see Mariah Carey.
Yeah, Christmas music. Dave Ayler, before we get into our Salty Shakedown, sports history, and sports birthdays, you said you went to bed early last night, but did you celebrate Halloween? Did kids knock at the door? Anything happen that was Halloween-ish in your life yesterday?
No, surprisingly, I was looking out the window before I went to bed, and all my neighbors had their lights on, but no kids.
Huh.
And usually I hear them out running around screaming and stuff, having a good time, and none. So I don't know if just they gave up on Halloween or I missed them or what, but no kids at all.
Well, and again, if I were a parent, we talked about this, Cowboys and Astros playing last night. It was like, little Timmy, you better be done by 7:09.
Well, they started really early this year. Like for our street, the plan was 6 o'clock. Everyone would be at the table, be ready for trick-or-treaters. It was like 5:30. And everyone's still in their houses and their doorbells ringing. We're like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I think that was planned for a lot of parents was get out early and get home early.
Absolutely. All right. Shannon's Salty Shakedown is moments away. How about a little sports birthdays and November 1st, this day in sports history. November 1st, 1924, the Boston Bruins officially joined the NHL. They became the first American team to enter the NHL. It was Canadians only. The Montreal Maroons also joined that year, but they were done by 1938. On this day in 1938, Seabiscuit with George Wolfe aboard beats 1937 Triple Crown winner War Admiral by 3 lengths at the Pimlico track in a record time to earn $15,000 in what was regarded as one of the greatest match races in horse racing history. This day in 1964, Houston Oilers quarterback George Blanda attempted an AFL record 68 passes. He completed 37 in a 24-10 loss to the Buffalo Bills at War Memorial Stadium. This day in 1966, the NFL awarded a franchise to New Orleans. They would be named the Saints, and it was spoken about that November 1st is All Saints Day in the Catholic faith, so it made total sense that the New Orleans Saints would be born on All Saints Day in 1966. Finally, on this day in 2017, World Series, the Houston Astros won their first ever World Series title. They beat the evil Los Angeles Dodgers 5-1 in Game 7 at Dodger Stadium. Your MVP was Astros outfielder George Springer with his Springer dingers. Today was a very good day for the Houston Astros, and today they're still alive in their quest for a second World Series. That's your sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day in 1935, South African golfer Gary Player, who was a player, not really, he was a player, 9-time major title winner. He was born in Johannesburg, South Africa. Born on this day in 1960, Baseball Hall of Fame pitcher Fernando Valenzuela, 6-time Major League Baseball All-Star, Cy Young winner with the LA Dodgers in 1981, played at VJ Keefe Field in San Antonio in the summer of 81 with the San Antonio Dodgers, who are now the San Antonio Missions. Fernando Valenzuela, born in 1960 in Navajo, Mexico. Maybe we'll have Fernando on our all Spanish show coming up on Cinco de Mayo. Finally, born on this day in 1970, basketball coach, NBA champion twice with LeBron in tow, Eric Spoelstra, coach of the Miami Heat, was born on this day in 1970 in Evanston, Illinois. Those are your sports birthdays and this day in sports history. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, November 1st edition. To begin this new month, here it is, your salty shakedown.
All right. Well, we talked Cowboys. We talked that miraculous victory, thanks to Cooper Rush, over the Vikings last night. But let's talk a little CeeDee Lamb, because this little nugget dropped before last night's game. I didn't realize this was going on, Chris. Maybe I'm just not as tuned in as I thought I was. But CeeDee Lamb, through 6 games prior to last night, has been fined 5 times.
Yikes.
For a total of $46,358, sir. That's 3.75% of his contract, or for his salary, rather. That's a lot of money, sir. And you'd be surprised what he's been fined for. Twice for having his jersey untucked, which cost him a little over $5,000 each time. Fined for wearing his socks too low, another $5,000, and fined for an illegal crackback block. That one was just over $10,000. And then also fined for that wave that he gave to the Patriots following that winning touchdown. That one cost him over $10,000 as well. Now, okay, the wave, I guess if you're a player, it's kind of a big deal now, right? It's getting you a lot of attention. Might have been worth it. I don't know about the tackle. But do you not have friends on that team that are like, hey, man, tuck your jersey in, or that's going to be $5,000, or hey, man, your socks are too low, that's going to be $5,000. I mean, I realize that he is the one in control at the end of the day, but can we maybe blame his teammates for costing him $15,000 at this point for not being a good teammate?
That's a great point. I don't think anybody else has brought that up, but you're right. You would hope for a little help from your friends in that situation. I mean, wonder if he's thinking that.
He's only in his second year, right?
Yes.
Last year was a little unconventional. Help him out.
Mm-hmm.
Help him out. I know that may seem like change to some of you guys, but I am sticking to the dress code if it's costing. I mean, shoot, in school, I stuck to the dress code so I wouldn't have to go put on one of those dress-like T-shirts from the Lost and Found, right? Your shorts must be X amount from the tips of your fingers. I'm certainly following the dress code if it's going to cost me $5,000 for every time I mess it up. No word yet on whether he was fined for anything last night. I didn't see anything crazy last night that he should be fined for. Did you?
No, but we didn't see those fines either. So, and you're right. 3.7% of any of our yearly salary. That's a lot of money, no matter who you are.
Get it together, CD, and maybe get some better friends on that team, or get your teammates to be like, check you out before each quarter or something. Make sure that shirt is tucked in. All right, keeping it with the NFL, Peyton Manning was celebrated for the Broncos. He was added to their Ring of Fame. He provided a speech before the game. The Broncos 4-4 this season. They went back to 500 yesterday after a 17-10 victory over Washington. But for that game and for Peyton's speech, Peyton Manning in the house, you get to see him in the flesh. 11,755 empty seats in that Broncos stadium. It's not like it's the end of the year. It's not like they're completely down and out. You're just now to the midway point of this NFL season. There's already that many fans. It was a Halloween day. A lot of people had a lot of fun. Everyone's dressing up. That many empty fans. I mean, I know the Broncos are suffering, and I know they're looking for new ownership, but that's hard to look at. I mean, the NFL, as big and bad and all the ratings that they get, to have an near empty looking stadium on a Sunday, they've got it real bad. And so I've got this question for you, because Peyton being there, he talked about his love for the team. He's never missed a game. He hurts when they lose. He rejoices when they win. A lot of people have been asking him, hey, when new ownership comes across, are you going to take an executive role? And he's like, listen, I haven't talked to anyone about anything. So he's not denying it here. But obviously, given the recent history, John Elway and his time with Denver, it's put up a little bit of a scarlet letter on him, a little bit of his career, right? I mean, he did so great playing, but he just couldn't get it done in the executive role. Do you think Peyton may suffer the same fate, and that may be a little bit of the reason of why he's holding back? I mean, I know, forget the ESPN stuff, because I know he's got stuff going on. He's busy.
Yeah.
He's fine money-wise. But do you think in the back of his mind, he's already viewed in such high regard? Would he put himself in a position like John Elway is in right now?
It's a great question, and we know how competitive he is, and maybe the fact that even John Elway didn't get it done the way he wanted to as an executive in Denver, maybe that makes Peyton Manning want to do it just to show he could do it. And again, Shannon, after his speech at the Hall of Fame induction in Canton, Ohio in August, so many people said this dude should be the commissioner of the NFL someday. So whatever he does beyond, and that's by the way, tonight it's Peyton and Eli again on ESPN2 during Monday Night Football. But whatever he does is going to be fascinating. But I wouldn't put anything past him. He's so good at whatever he touches seems to turn to gold. If he wants it, it's his. It'll be interesting to see. And also very telling, as you mentioned, he did not deny it.
Yeah, and you mentioned that commissioner role. Maybe he's holding out for something bigger and better, especially because his first role would need to be to fill those almost 12,000 seats that were empty for the Broncos. Again, just 8 games into the season. All right, finally, of course, yesterday, Halloween, which meant a lot of players showed up to games over the weekend and headed out to parties when they weren't needed on the field of play, and they were all dressed up, and a lot of them did not disappoint. For instance, the Lakers, they had kind of a horror thing going on. LeBron James as Freddy Krueger, AD as the Candyman, and Russ as Chucky. Josh Allen showed up to the Bills game dressed as the lefty himself, Mr. Phil Mickelson. Phil Mickelson even approved of his get up. I thought that was an interesting one, kind of an easy one, right? To like put on a golf attire and call yourself a golfer, but okay. But we need to talk about Aaron Rodgers. I have not been a fan of the long-haired Aaron Rodgers. All right, it looks icky and dirty all the time. I like the short hair better. He's usually played with short hair, so I was like, why now? Why after all this turmoil? Is that part of it? Is this a phase? Turns out, Chris, he'd been growing his hair out for his outfit on Halloween. He dressed as John Wick. I'm not sure if you've seen those films, but people love them, featuring Keanu Reeves. Mm-hmm. He grew his hair out just for that. He had a whole photo shoot, whole makeup done, did a photo shoot, kind of doing the poster and pose that Keanu Reeves did for that role. Going too far or sounds about right for Aaron Rodgers? Because I don't know that I would have pegged him for a guy that plans his Halloween outfit months in advance and is committed to growing out his hair just to do so.
Yeah, we're learning in the last year, the Jeopardy thing, and now this John Wick costume and growing the hair out over months for it. We're learning more about Aaron Rodgers, and it's surprising. And again, like Tom Brady, I'm kind of liking Aaron Rodgers. We're seeing more dimensions of him lately. Yeah,
that's for sure. But yeah. I wouldn't mind if next time we see him, he's sporting a new do. There it is, today's Salty Shakedown.
Outstanding Salty Shakedown as always. Great one to kick off the month of November. You did mention there, Shannon, though, and it kind of, raised an eyebrow. Russell Westbrook of the LA Lakers dressing up as Chucky for Halloween.
Yeah, specifically Chucky, not John Gruden.
Well, see, there you go. Now, won't even Chucky from the movies, doesn't he always now remind us as John Gruden? And now that John Gruden is believed, and probably rightfully so after those emails, to be just a tad racist in his emails, I don't know, man. Does Russell Westbrook want to be Chucky? I don't know. Or could you be Chucky for Halloween, like have all these emails attached to your body? I don't know.
They were at a party, and I feel like LeBron being LeBron was probably like, all right, here's our theme. I'm going to be this one. I get first pick. Y'all can pick from these people, but we need to make sure we cover all of these characters. And I don't know, maybe because Russ is shorter, that's why he went with Chucky and AD got Candyman.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It'd be funny if a Raiders player had come in as Chucky or dressed as Chucky. That would have
made some noise.
Chef's kiss, but
that would have made some
I
noise.
didn't see that happen.
Most definitely. Outstanding Salty Shakedown. CD Lamb, got to watch out for those fines and keep an eye on Peyton Manning. We got lots more to talk about We will dive back into all the big stories of the weekend, including Texas's loss to Baylor. Of course, the Houston Astros, their big win last night. They stay alive, force a Game 6 tomorrow night. Want to dive into TCU and Gary Patterson more. And speaking of coaches, UTSA head football coach Jeff Traylor, during their bye week, signs a contract extension. We'll talk with him. He's going to join us at 8:35. UTSA 8-0. They'll be playing again this weekend. We'll look ahead to the next game with Jeff Traylor. Also some Matt Ryan news. Matty Ice made some news in the NFL yesterday as well. We'll get into that. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. I'm Chris. Till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. All right. Chris Gonzalez, Jason Paniagua, Sam Tobias. Let's see. Anthony Del Toro, welcome in. Man, I am guzzling the coffee because the late night staying up for the World Series and the Cowboys game. And there's a Spurs game tonight. Luckily, though, an earlier game, a 6:00 start tonight. Spurs in Indianapolis to take on the Pacers. Chiefs Giants tonight, which on paper sounds like a snoozer. Chiefs should win that one easily. But Peyton and Eli, you got that, which is a beautiful thing. All right. I'm going to go grab some more coffee. Which, of course, means we give you some Mike Taylor for your viewing pleasure. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for being with us. Back in a flash. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for joining us. Dean Stone, good morning. Wow. Anthony Del Toro says, just saw like a meteor of some sort falling through the blue skies. Weirdest thing ever. Wow. Anthony, where'd you see that? And I always wonder, sometimes when that happens, different businesses or whatever, have security cams on. So people will post video of that when it's captured on video. Headed to Somerset, Texas, driving southeast. Let me search Twitter for Meteor. See if that's trending or if people are. See if anybody else is talking about it. Nobody. I'm doing Meteor and I'm searching latest. And I don't see anything yet. A lot of Japanese. Hopefully somebody got some footage. Keon Stokes says Somerset, my hometown. Or Coen Stokes, Koen. Joining us on YouTube. Welcome in. Dean Stone says Russian satellites, they're dropping from the skies all the time. Sam, I'm not sure exactly what you mean. Sam Tobias says the SEC is getting a good look at the Longhorns' history with them in 2025. Woo! Woo! Here we go. 8 o'clock hour. Carl Fisher, good morning.
This is the Chris Duel Show. You know the day is coming tonight. 99 today. Now, Chris Duel.
Welcome in on the first day of November, Monday, November 1st, 2021, as we celebrate the Astros victory last night in game number 5, 9-5 over the Atlanta Braves. Astros surviving that grand slam home run by the Braves in the bottom of the first inning, coming back to win that one. Dallas Cowboys win last night as well over the Minnesota Vikings. Cooper Rush getting the big win there. Who saw that coming? I was very, very pessimistic about the Cowboys' chances, but Cooper Rush writes his name into Cowboy history alongside the likes of Clint Longley and Jason Garrett as backup quarterbacks who got the job done when the Cowboys needed them. Hopefully Dak Prescott will be back next week for the Dallas Cowboys. Another big story yesterday in the world of sports in college football. UTSA head coach Jeff Traylor signed a major contract extension. We will talk with him as we always do every Monday morning at 8:35. Thank you, sir. So Coach Traylor going to join us. We'll talk about the UTSA Roadrunners and their 8-0 record coming off the bye. 4 games left for the Roadrunners. We'll preview the weekend's game with Coach Traylor. And Shannon, just want to pass along, and I thank Dave Ayler for letting me know the following, that today is Hello Kitty's birthday. Popular kids character Hello Kitty, created by a Japanese company. Kitty's birthday is today. A perpetual third grader lives in a little house in a suburban London town. And were you into Hello Kitty as a child? It was after my time, so I'm not a Hello Kitty person.
I wasn't, but I know that it's one of those, it's almost like Disney where they have a character and then you can buy that character in any shape or form. You know, you can have an entire Hello Kitty store and you think, how is that possible?
Yeah.
But it is.
So
Does it say how old?
It doesn't.
Hello
It's a popular kids character created by, nope, it just says born in London. Today is Hello Kitty's birthday. Huh. All right. Today is also National Deep Fried Clams Day. That's a little too specific.
Yeah.
National Deep Fried Clams Day.
So specific that maybe you pinpoint it to like a Maine or something.
Yeah.
New Englandy.
Yeah. Very New
Keep it up
England.
there.
Yeah.
I don't do seafood, so.
Yeah, I do
I'll pass on
seafood,
that
but yeah, so there's that. Today, this is weird. It's not only Deep Fried Clams Day, it's World Vegan Day. It's World Vegan Month, and today is World Vegan Day. It was established in 1994 by Louise Wallace, the chair of the Vegan Society of the United Kingdom, to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the founding of the organization and coining of the term vegan and veganism. There you go, Shannon. And finally, and this is like to me the coolest, today is also Dia de los Muertos, which originally celebrated throughout Mexico, especially in Central and South Mexico, celebrating those who have passed on, loved ones who are no longer with us. I think, Shannon, I think that is one of the coolest traditions. And certainly in San Antonio, you see a lot of celebration for Dia de los Muertos and shrines to those who are no longer around. And it is, I just think it's a very, very cool thing.
Pretty cool. Yeah. And I know like sugar skulls as a decoration have become wildly popular too. So you can keep them up another day.
Yeah. And according to the research here, those who celebrate Dia de los Muertos believe that the gates of heaven are opened at midnight on October 31st, and the spirits of all deceased children are allowed to reunite with their families for 24 hours. And on November 2nd, the spirits of the adults come down to enjoy the festivities that are prepared for them. Scholars trace the origins of the modern Mexican holiday to indigenous observances dating back hundreds of years to the Aztec festival, which was dedicated to an Aztec goddess. And the holiday is spread throughout the world, being absorbed within other deep traditions for honoring the dead. Cool. Woo! So there's that, Shannon.
Have you seen Coco, the Disney movie? I haven't seen that one. People apparently love it. I just haven't made the time. But I think that one is centered around Dia de los Muertos.
Oh, that's cool. I'll have to check that out. Speaking of, or jumping back to NFL football, did you see the Calvin Ridley story yesterday?
I did not.
Calvin Ridley, in fact, I'll pull it up.
Actually, yes. He's taking some time off, right?
Yeah. And apparently he had been out.
Mental health.
He had been out of the lineup a lot this year, wide receiver of the Atlanta Falcons. He released a statement yesterday and on Twitter and on social media, and I'll read his statement. He wrote, "These past few weeks have been very challenging, and as much as I'd like to be on the field competing with my teammates, I need to step away from football at this time and focus on my mental well-being. This will help me be the best version of myself now and in the future. I want to thank my teammates, the entire Atlanta Falcons organization, our great fans, my friends, and my family for all of their support during this time." Clearly, Shannon, none of us know exactly what's going on with Calvin Ridley, but it just goes to show you, and sports fans sometimes lose track of this, that these athletes are human beings and they're often going through some difficult patches in their lives, and Calvin Ridley stepping away from football for the time being. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and I think, particularly in this league, you think of Richard Sherman and some others who have stepped away or have talked about their mental health, but it's come after an incident. And so people felt like they were already aware, and then something like this feels very out of the blue. But how great is it that we're in a place now where he can come out and say that and receive support rather than, "You're soft. What are you talking about?
Yes.
Get out there and play the, and good on the Falcons for giving him that time."
And what's cool about it is, and we've seen so many, in the NBA, we've talked about it, Kevin Love and DeMar DeRozan, have been public about some mental health issues because these athletes, and in this case, Calvin Ridley, are, so publicly well known because they're so renowned. I think this helps other people in their lives. If someone's going through a difficult patch, to know, that some of these major athletes who are household names to a lot of people go through it as well, and it's okay, and we're all human beings, and we're doing the best we can to get through, and it's okay, and it's certainly, especially, it's okay to seek some help, seek some guidance and some help and some assistance and some counseling in a situation like that. Speaking of the Atlanta Falcons, Calvin Ridley's team, Shannon, apparently Matty Ice had some difficulty of his own yesterday while playing in the NFL.
Yeah, and I didn't get to see the game, but I kept seeing this clip on Twitter, and his hand was stepped on during the game, and he continued the drive. I thought the rule was you can't have blood on your uniform.
I have heard that
they
too.
Have to change it out, whatever. but his hand was gushing so much blood that his towel was completely red, and then he had spatter all over his white pants. I mean, it was his left hand, so it wasn't his throwing hand, but I can't imagine that it felt great to be playing, and I don't know how he did it, especially after seeing the video of the hand. It's not pretty.
And it makes me wonder, Shannon, why that doesn't happen more often. You think about it, football players, especially quarterbacks and all players at any position, you wind up on the turf so often and everybody's running toward the ball or to make the tackle. And there's piles of big human beings. I'm surprised more players don't get their hands and their arms and their wrists stepped on like that.
Yeah. Well, in baseball, they have like the glove, right? You see Bregman wear it a lot, right? For them to slide in with that hand. Yeah. So that way, if a guy's charging for the base and he tries to step on it, if he happens to hit the hand, there's some protection there. But yeah, football, you're just kind of out in the open and it's gruesome.
Speaking of football, and we'll dive back into it just because it's wonderful and delightful. Of course, we talked at length in the 6 o'clock hour about the Dallas Cowboys and their win last night with Cooper Rush at quarterback. The Dallas Cowboys fell behind early in that game to the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings scored early in the game. Adam Thielen, a 20-yard touchdown pass from Kirk Cousins on the first possession. It was 7-0 Minnesota. And at that point in my life, Shannon, you had a grand slam home run in the bottom of the first inning by the Atlanta Braves. It was 4-0 Braves in the elimination game 5 for the Astros. Cowboys were down 7-0, and we had Cooper Rush at quarterback. If you would have told me, hey, don't worry, Cowboys are going to win this game, and don't worry, Astros are going to win this game, I would not have believed you, especially, and we mentioned, on a lost weekend for the Texas Longhorns. You know, I said on Friday, and it was our poll question, I believed, and I still believe it was one of the greatest sports weekends of the year because you had World Series baseball Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. We had some really good college football games on Saturday, including Longhorns at Baylor. We had the Cowboys on the Sunday night game, but it was shaping up to be just a dreary weekend with what was a Longhorns loss. And then it sure looked early like the Cowboys were in trouble. And certainly I didn't expect the Astros to come back from a grand slam home run hit against them in the first inning by the Braves. But for the Cowboys and for the Astros, all's well that ends well last night.
Yeah, I was right there with you. I think I tweeted out like how awful my sports weekend had been. I was taking it very personally. Saturday, I, of course, took in the Texas game and then had to go down to the Irwin Center. I worked iHeart Country Festival.
Cool.
Which was fantastic. But I didn't have the best internet, so I could not keep up with that Astros game. I actually found out that they lost via Lee Bryce. After he performed, I kind of ended up walking behind him, and his handler was like, the Braves won, and Lee Bryce, who was one of the performers that night, was all happy. And I said, Did you just say the Braves won? And they were like, yeah, and I made a face, and they were like, oh, she's upset. And I was like, I'm
Texas.
upset. Like, and now this is the interaction I have to remember with you. So I wasn't feeling great Saturday night going into Sunday. I had to wait all day. It was one of those things, again, like if Cowboys had a noon game, then I could have like gotten over it a little bit faster. But I had to wait all day to then be flipping back and forth. And then just like you, flipping back between grand slam, down 4-0 early and down 7-0 early. It was not great. And I went to bed. I was losing on all fronts when I went to bed last night and was very, very happy. I'm usually not that happy on a Monday morning, but to see that Astros stay alive, Cowboys stay alive, it's amazing.
Yeah. And I stayed up for both of the games last night. So I am just as Jackson Brown says, running on empty and guzzling a lot of coffee. But it is interesting. I had this thought when the Astros lost on Saturday night. I was just bummed out. It was like the way sports can affect our mood and affect our weekend. I remember thinking to myself, wait a minute, it's Saturday night. And the Spurs had won. The Spurs had beaten the Milwaukee Bucks. I said, I can't let, the Astros are lucky to be here before the postseason. A lot of people thought it would be the Tampa Bay Rays representing the American League. I said, I need to just shake it off. Let it go. Enjoy the rest of my Saturday night. But it's so true. When the Cowboys lose, when the Astros lose, when the Spurs lose, I'm just automatically in a foul mood, and I have to consciously work at it to raise myself out of that funk.
Well, and I think you and I kind of agreed that the Braves could win two out of 3, right? At home.
Yeah.
But after that win Saturday, it was like they won the first 2. It kind of felt like, how could they not just close it out at home?
Yeah.
It kind of felt like it was written. I thought the Astros, if they were to take a game, it would have been either the first or the second. So again, very pleased with last night's results. But yeah, Saturday I wasn't feeling anything. Not myself. Went to the bar after the show. Open bar. Thank you, big bosses at iHeart for that.
That's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Had me some top shelf margaritas and drank my sorrows away, sir.
Well, let's see if anybody can drink their sorrows away with an extra $1,000. It is 8:20. Time for the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. We do this all morning long and all the way into the night on the 20s, all the way until 9:20 tonight, wherever you're listening. Right now, you got a shot at $1,000, 20 after the hour, every hour. Here is your 8:20 shot at $1,000.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword BANK to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's BANK to 200-200.
Bank, good luck. We hope you win. That would be beautiful for you, and we give you lots of shots at $1,000. You were talking, Shannon, and if you think about it, because the Braves were undefeated in the postseason at home. Now stepping back from it a little bit, while we had hoped for the Astros to take 2 of 3 or all 3, it was really improbable. Stepping back now from the weekend, probably the expected thing was going to be Braves taking 2 of 3. You know, it's difficult at a 1-1 series for anybody to win the next 3 games because these two teams are evenly matched. But those games were in the Braves' house where they do have an advantage. And you look at the Astros during the regular season, they play better at home than they do on the road. So the Braves, a better team in their house than the Astros are. So, you know, the Braves taking 2 of those 3 now. We didn't know the order it would happen. It probably makes sense. And now in each of these games, you know, it's less likely for the Astros to win 2 in a row, you know, 2 elimination games, and the Braves only have to win 1. But in each game, and in tomorrow night's game, Tuesday night at Minute Maid Park, as Scott Manziera told us about an hour ago, I think you've got to favor the Houston Astros. They've got to have the advantage now to force a Game 7. So hopefully that's the case. Just give me a Game 7. Even if the Astros lose it, and I won't be happy if they lose Game 7, but give me a Game 7. Come on. We got this far. Let's go to Game 7.
That's right. Let's get more of the rally nuns into Minute Maid. Everyone who's going, be as loud as possible to carry them over and to give them that home field advantage. Now, you asked Scott about the lineup change, most notably Alex Bregman being shifted in that batting lineup. What did you think about that shift with where we are now in the postseason, and if you think it should stay that way?
I think it should stay that way. And as you mentioned, Alex Bregman moved to the number 7 slot. He batted 7th. I think it kind of, because Bregman started to get hot, it gives you a little more firepower later in the batting order, because typically by the time you get to 8 and 9, and although his reputation, Martin Maldonado, the catcher, usually batting in the 8 slot, or the 9 slot when you're in Houston, because you got the designated hitter in Houston, and that would be Yordan Alvarez. You know, by the time you get to the end of the order, you kind of lose some of your firepower, you lose some of your oomph. But as I say that, you know, so many of the other hitters, you know, Kyle Tucker can hit. I mean, those Astros can, when they're on, can really, really hit. But now moving it back to Houston, and now when it seems as though Alex Bregman pulled out of his slump a little bit last night, and the word was he showed up very early at the stadium yesterday to take batting practice before everybody else. Because I think it did 2 things, Shannon. I think it helped if Bregman could hit, and he could hit last night. And B, I think it sent a message to Alex Bregman. It's like, dude, we love you. We signed you to this big contract extension. You're going to be here like Altuve for the long haul. Correa, we don't know. But it's like, if you're not going to perform, we're going to put you deeper into the order so you have less at-bats.
Mhm.
So I think it sent a message to Bregman. I think it maybe lit a fire underneath him, and I think it kind of worked. What do you think?
I liked it, and obviously they end up getting the win. So you think, okay, well, let's keep things the way they are now. It feels, watching Jose Altuve, he always has so much fun, and I'm not seeing that out of Bregman in the way it's almost like he's in his head. He's trying too hard.
Yeah,
I think he just needs to let loose a little bit more.
Yeah, Bregman and Correa were all, I agree with you, fun and swagger. And both of those guys in this series, Correa had a lot of swagger in the ALCS against Boston, pointing at his watch. But, I mean, because he's in a slump, both of those guys have lost their fun and their swagger. And hopefully both of those things come back in Houston. Okay, we are so excited on every level. We just love talking football with Jeff Traylor, the undefeated head coach of the UTSA Roadrunners. Just first of all, just because he's a great guy and a great guest and a great football coach. It's just great talking football with a guy who's winning at such a high level in Division I football and hasn't lost yet this year. But he makes big news yesterday, as does UTSA, as they announce they signed Jeff Traylor to a contract extension through 2031, valued at $28 million. That means an annual salary of $2.8 million plus incentives and potential bonuses. And a big thing there is they're going to give more money to assistant coaches, which if you want to succeed moving into the American Athletic Conference, you really need good assistants as well. We'll talk about all these things with UTSA head football coach Jeff Traylor next. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. Dave Ayler makes the show go. Thanks for hanging out with us till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Woo! All right. Foamfoot 420 asked on YouTube, because some of you will see that I answered, and you're going to say, what did he answer yes to? Will we have Spurs React tonight, and will it be across YouTube and all the regular platforms? And the answer is yes. We are. We finally have this video feed running once again the way we wanted it, and we will do the same with Spurs React after the game tonight. And last time I looked, the Indiana Pacers were 1-6, and the Spurs just won on the road at Milwaukee. Chance for the Spurs to win 2 in a row against this Pacers team that's nowhere near as good as the Milwaukee Bucks. But Spurs being a young team, can they be consistent is a big question. All right, I'm going to get out of this. Foamfoot 420 just predicted Spurs win by 7 tonight. Let me see if there's a line on that game. See if Vegas picks the Spurs tonight on the road. I think that would be unlikely. But Indiana by 3.5 points tonight. Indiana is 1-6. They're 1-2 at home. They now call their arena Gainbridge Fieldhouse. It had always been called Bankers Life Fieldhouse lately. All these arena and stadium names that change are funky. Pacers are 1-2 at home. Spurs are 1-2 on the road. You pull up UTSA for next week. UTSA is at UTEP. Let me see when that is, though. That's on ESPN2. It's been moved to ESPN2. UTEP is 6-2 and 3-1 in Conference USA. So let me see what UTEP is at home. So their two losses were at Boise State and at Florida Atlantic. So they are undefeated at home. They are 1, 2, 3, 4. They are 4-0 at home. Double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So yeah, most casual fans just say, UTSA is undefeated. It's UTEP. UTEP's never that formidable. Well, they're 6-2 and 3-1 in the conference. So suddenly they are. Jason says ESPN Game Day might be in El Paso on Saturday. I think I heard, Jason, that Game Day is going to go to Cincinnati instead. Somebody posted that. And I don't know if that's reliable. I got that from a fan posting yesterday. Where is Cincinnati? Cincinnati is home against Tulsa. That would, it's not a very exciting matchup, if you ask me. I am partial to the Cincinnati Bearcats. My wife is a double graduate of Cincinnati, undergrad and law school, and she was a bear kitten at Cincinnati. So go Bearcats. I need to do something real quick here. Let's see. Jeff Traylor calling in right now. That is Dave Ayler picking up the phone, talking to Coach.
Coach is ready.
Thank you, sir. Here we come.
We're back. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Join in by dialing 1-800-707-9760.
Welcome in on this Monday, November 1st. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney and the UTSA Roadrunners with a bye week this weekend. So we didn't expect them to make a lot of news. Of course, we talk about them because they're 8-0 and just playing great football. And then yesterday afternoon, a big story breaks out of UTSA that they have signed their head coach, Jeff Traylor, to a contract extension through 2031, which is great news for the university, great news for the fans, great news for the team. There was great video yesterday of the announcement being made by athletic director Lisa Campos and Coach Traylor. Let's talk Roadrunner football right now with the undefeated head coach of the UTSA Roadrunners, Coach Jeff Traylor. Coach, congratulations on the new contract.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you having me on this morning.
Well, what a great story. And I texted Shannon when that story broke that you signed this contract extension. And I even thought, human nature, Coach, even if you were going to sign a contract extension, I thought you were going to wait a while just to see other, if other, universities were going to knock on your door so you could say to UTSA, hey, I got this. What do you guys want to do for me? But no, you signed this thing on or before Halloween. What was your thought process in deciding to come to this agreement at this time with the university?
Well, first of all, President Amy and Dr. Campos and I have been working on this since the summer. They've been very proactive. We expected some jobs in the state of Texas to pop up. We had a feeling my name would be involved in those jobs. We did not know we were going to be 8-0. We did not know we were going to be nationally ranked. But we had targeted our open week for the time to try to get all this done. Well, with all the speculation and our team playing so well, I just did not want to be a distraction. I wanted to get it done. I didn't feel good in my soul that my kids were having to answer those questions all the time. Everybody was talking about me. And we should be talking about our players in one of the most historic seasons in the history of our school.
Well, Coach, I'm so excited for you, your family, the university, but I think I'm most excited for those kids because, as you mentioned, they've been hearing your name tossed around. I mean, they're having such a great season. What kind of reward would it be for their coach to be pulled to another program? You signed this contract. I saw a video of you in front of that team making the announcement that you were sticking around. Everyone was ecstatic. What was the message you had for them?
That was truly, and I've had some unbelievable moments in my career, but I can't imagine there ever being a more special moment for me. It just validated that my decision was correct. I felt bad because I knew when Dr. Campos walked in the room with me, she doesn't come into our team meetings very often. But when she took the stage, I could tell there was a lump in all her throat. I just felt miserable. And then when she told them I was going to be their guy for the next 10 years, I was hoping they weren't going to boo that man. I'm really glad they were excited, Shannon.
Well, and Coach, Shannon and I, we talk about sports on the radio, but I'm also a fan, and I grew up in San Antonio. And I went to UTSA like Shannon did at one point. I, as a fan, I'm so excited and I'm so happy that you are going to be around for the long term. And I just love what you and your staff are doing with this program and with this university and with this culture. And when the announcement was made yesterday, Coach, I thought a big part of this was the fact that we heard as well that the university will increase the salary pool for assistant coaches and support staff. And I got to believe, Coach, from your perspective, especially moving into another conference here in a little bit, that's got to be a big part of the equation for you and for this program.
Other than my players, our assistants are what get this thing done the most. And I'm going to have to try to keep them. And the Power 5 schools have larger budgets, so they're going to try to come take our guys. So that's why we're a long ways away. We're not there. This is a step in the right direction. But I think it gives confidence to our boosters, our fan base, our alumni, our recruits, that we plan on staying around here. We want to build this thing. And it's going to take all of us. We're still a long, long ways away. But we added staff. We added strength staff. We added a training table so our kids can eat more. And those are the things it takes to make this thing sustainable and not just a one-year blip in the radar, which I don't want to be. And you know how football is. It's hard to win. We're not going to be sitting here at 8-0 maybe ever again in the history of our lives. This is one of those rare, rare, rare special deals. But we can put a competitive football team on the field every Saturday where we all know we have a chance to win.
Well, Coach, now your team is ranked number 16 in the nation, coming off of a bye week. How would you assess this last bye week and continuing to build momentum as you face UTEP this weekend?
Well, last night was one of our best practices we've ever had. There was a real shot of energy in the building. Our kids were really flying around. They had a few days off. They just found out they're getting to keep their coach for the next decade. So there was a lot of juice in practice. We know UTEP is really good. We understand it's a very late night game, and it's a tough place to play out in El Paso. So our juice is already hot and ready to roll.
Well, and Coach, you say it's a tough place to play. I think for the casual fan in San Antonio, I mean, most people now know if you follow sports, UTSA is ranked big and really ascended in the rankings this week. We can talk about that as well. But to your point about UTEP, they are 6-2 overall. They are 3-1 in Conference USA, and they are undefeated at home in the Sun Bowl this year. What do you have to do? What does your team have to do to be able to come away with a win against UTEP? And as you mentioned, night game, 9:15 kickoff, nationally televised on ESPN2. What are some of the things you guys need to be successful at to try to get win number 9 on Saturday night?
You already know the answer. Y'all hear me say it all the time. It's the triangle, man. We got to trust the triangle, and the triangle's made to travel. We got to be physical on defense like we always are. We have to keep bringing that edge. Offensively, we got to punish people. We've got to keep pounding the rock. They'll have to overcommit at some point. We've got great receivers that can make plays down the field. Our special teams, which has just been so consistent all year, has to continue to show up and play. And we had errors in all three of those last week. But we really worked hard on getting that fixed. And I had them stand up yesterday in the meeting. I started off with an 8-0. And, this is always, when I talk about this, the November to remember, right? I remember telling y'all that last year, and y'all probably looked at me like I was crazy. This month of November. But at this time of year, you got to still want to play football. And our kids love football. And you got to get back to fundamentals. So if you're having fun and you got your fundamentals down again, and we're fresh, it's just an exciting time to make this in November to remember.
Chris mentioned this weekend's game will be nationally televised on ESPN2. I know you and the team, you're just going out there to do a job, and where the game is shown isn't something you really worry about. But from a recruiting standpoint and for the university itself, how big is this moment?
You just can't look at it that way, Shannon. That's what I've got you guys for. Make sure that gets hyped up and reminded of, and that's why we all have a job, right? And that's why I try to be so good to y'all all the time, because I appreciate what y'all had to do. But we got to remember what we got to do. We got to go play good football. And if we get out of our lane, you guys don't want to talk about us anymore, right? So we've got to stay grounded. Today's an academic day. Go be the very best academians we can be today. If we stay in that lane, you and Chris will do a great job talking about us. If not, probably won't be getting y'all's calls anymore. Who knows?
You will always get our calls, Coach. And I mean, such a big weekend. The big news about your contract yesterday, and then the college football rankings come out yesterday, Coach. And you guys jumped multiple slots in both the AP Top 25 and the coaches poll. UTSA is now ranked number 16 in the country in the AP Top 25. You guys are number 18 in the coaches poll. And I know you look at the task at hand, Coach, you look at the next game and the next play, but it's still got to be very gratifying to know that finally you guys are getting the national recognition that you deserve.
Well, it's just good for all those things that Shannon was speaking on. It's good for recruiting. Again, fan base, alumni, ticket sales, suites. Yeah, that's just huge. The better you're doing, the better recruit you're going to get. They're going to want to come here. And San Antonio already has a very special offer. They have an unbelievable facility. And now we have a great university. Obviously, we've got an administration and some boosters that are very committed. Why not? Why not? And we know every high school coach in the state almost, and they know how we're going to treat their kids. It's not fake. It's real. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but we're going to treat their kids correctly. They're going to get a degree. They're going to be coached very well, and hopefully we're going to win a bunch of ball games in the process.
Coach, you mentioned earlier that yesterday's practice was outstanding. Chris and I talked earlier in the show about some NFL players showing up to their games yesterday dressed to the nines for the holiday. Did you guys get into the Halloween spirit at all, or was it all business?
No, I'm so boring. I'm a lot like Frank. I saw someone do a great deal on Rashad and Frank, and I could tell Rashad is all into Halloween. I didn't even know it was Halloween. I'm that guy. But I did have a couple of players. Miles Benning, one of my captains, he went through the whole day with a mullet on. I saw a few guys with masks on during practice, which actually scared the heebie-jeebies out of me. So a few of them participated, but I'm pretty lame on that, Shannon. I apologize. Hey, but the Saints did win, so my son's fired up. Who dat?
Yeah, the Saints did win, and Marcus Davenport out of UTSA got to Tom Brady a couple of times. That's probably something, Coach, we're going to see more and more of, I imagine, in the coming years. NFL players coming out of UTSA. I mean, certainly Sincere McCormick. I hear Andy Everett say we're going to see that guy play on Sundays. Is that something that that comes up with your players? Do you ever talk about NFL futures with these guys?
Yeah, always. That's all their goals, right? That's why they started playing when they were a little bitty. We've had an NFL team at every practice. All 32 teams have been here. So that's way different for us. And obviously the success Marcus is having, it's awesome for me because I get to talk to my own son every day and talk to Marcus quite often. And I'm so glad he's having the success that he's having. He loves UTSA so much. And it's not just he went to school here. He's a local product. He's a San Antonio high school football player. So there's so much more to it than just he went to UTSA. He's a definition. He's the poster child for the 2-1-0 triangle double.
The UTSA will play, as we mentioned, 9:15 start, 9:15 kickoff on Saturday night, ESPN2 national television, but we always want you to listen on the radio, right, on Ticket 760 out of San Antonio. Andy Everett and his crew with the call. So with a 9:15 kickoff, of course, that means 7 o'clock pregame show on Ticket 760 in San Antonio, and also on Ticket 760 in San Antonio. And you can be there live Wednesday night. It's the Jeff Traylor Show at the Sandbox on UTSA Boulevard, right near the UTSA campus. 7 o'clock Wednesday night. Be out there for Coach and for the live radio broadcast. Coach, again, congratulations on the rankings. Congratulations on the contract. Congratulations on a great season. And best of luck on Saturday night at UTEP. We will be listening on the radio and watching on TV. Have yourself a great week, Coach. We appreciate your joining us.
Chris, Shannon, thank y'all so much for giving our kids some attention. God bless and birds up.
God bless and birds up. Amen, amen, amen. Things looking beautiful for the UTSA Roadrunners. Shannon, how cool. I mean, to be who Jeff Traylor is, to have the character that he has and that he is instilling in these players. And right now, I mean, this is the pinnacle for him. He just got this amazing contract. He's 8-0. They're going to be on national TV on Saturday night. I'm so happy for him and for this program.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, for those players who, when you're at a program like Texas and you're winning, you don't have to worry about your coach going anywhere. When you're losing, then you might have some problems because, as we know, people are they're fine with throwing out money to get rid of somebody if they're not happy. But when you're at a program like UTSA, you do have to worry about what success might mean for the coach at the helm of the program, and for them to get that announcement and to have him for 10 years, and not just him, but assistants who are going to get paid as well. It's so great for that program and for those kids just to clear their minds, finish out the season, because it's all happening in the middle of the season. They still have so many games left to play, not to mention a bowl game, and to have that just no longer be something that is floating in the back of your mind. Because as much as he says, don't eat the cheese, we don't pay attention to that. I mean, talk is becoming really loud about this UTSA program, and it's been hard to avoid.
Yeah, and mega kudos to Dr. Lisa Campos, to the president, Dr. Amy, everybody. I mean, for getting that deal done and realizing how valuable he is to this university, to this city, to the future of that football program. Shannon, our poll question was, how is this World Series going to play out? What have we learned from our listeners and viewers this morning?
Yeah, I think some Astros fans have woken up since the start of our show this morning, with 64% saying the Astros will win in 7, 23% saying Braves in 6, and 12% saying Braves in 7.
Hope you're right, Astros fans. We're going to walk tomorrow night, Game 6. Shannon, outstanding as always. Let's do this again tomorrow.
I'll be here, sir.
Woo! Dave Ayler, will you be here tomorrow?
Yes, I'll be here.
Good to hear. Because I know sometimes you blow us off, then we have to talk about you on the radio behind your back. So
I've got a lot of other work to do.
We want to do that tomorrow. Our thanks to UTSA head football coach Jeff Traylor. Big show tomorrow as we get you ready for Game 6. We're going to try to get Mike Hardball Harge on the show tomorrow. Have yourself a great Monday. Adios. See y'all later. Foamfoot 420, Dave Emilio Castanuela, Sam Tobias, Jason Paniagua, Fernando Solano, Yvonne Yancey McGowan, anybody else who might be in here, Beth Settle, adios. See you in 21 hours. Go Astros. Go Spurs, go. Spurs play tonight. Oh, I'll be doing Spurs React on video like this after the game, 6 o'clock game. So Spurs React will probably be at about 8:50 tonight. It's an early game. Later.